So I'd like to just start the hearing or the meeting, excuse me. We have first agenda item is the Grove Street NOI continuation. I don't know if Dennis is on yet, or if someone from the consultants, one of the consultants wants to speak about this.
Dennis is just appearing.
Hi, yes, Scott Brusso, Weston and Sampson, working with the town and Dennis on the Grove Street Bridge project. So just as an update, we provided responses to the Conservation Commission's comments that we received on the application and the project plans. And if you'd like, I can go through the responses. And we can just go from there if you have any other questions that you'd like to ask at that point. But so I'll start with, should I share my screen or?
Yeah, you should be able to, hopefully.
Okay.
Let's see. Grace, could you promote Dennis to a panelist?
He doesn't want to be. He's already declined twice.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
I didn't know that was an option.
I'm trying to figure out how to, it's different.
It is different.
So I'm trying to figure it out.
We can hear you.
So I'm not able to share my screen at this point. It just says it's disabled.
Let me see if I can. Yeah, I don't know why you can't share your screen. All right, so I'll have to bring it up. Just a minute here. So I'm going to pull up the response to comments file. And I don't know if you wanted to look at this sheet.
Yeah, I was just going to go through
Okay.
just the comments, our responses, and then take it from there. So comment one, town had asked the commission that mitigation from the community center be rolled into this NOI, which it has been. However, the planning plans that are not included on the project plans, which is a sheet from the community center project, is included. The pedestrian bridge will be in part of the mitigation area, so one proposed red maple will need to be relocated, and the area covered by the bridge will not count as mitigation area. So a portion of the mitigation area will also need to be relocated. So we had prepared a revised plan, marked up the planting plan. It was supposed to be an attachment B. I don't know if it actually, if it made it in there when I looked, and I'm wondering if you received it.
No, I never saw it.
That's why I wish I had my screen, but I can. So what we did, and I will forward this immediately after. What we did is there's this red maple that's basically right where the pedestrian bridge is on the upstream side of Center Brook. What we'd like to do is we're proposing to move that upstream by 12 to 15 feet to accommodate the pedestrian bridge and the riverfront mitigation area. We wanted to increase just to the upstream side, a smaller strip, increase the width of that strip of mitigation area within what's kind of the gravel parking area at this point. So we estimate that to be about 96 square feet. And so we're proposing to add the width on the on basically the upstream side for that 96 square feet.
I'm not sure this is the time for the question, but at the last hearing, I asked a question about an existing tree. Is there an existing tree that's going to be have to be removed or compromised?
There's an existing tree on the downstream side, basically the southwest side, that potentially may be compromised for the utility construction for the gas main, water main on the downstream side of the bridge. It's close, but yeah, it may be affected. I can't say for sure right now.
Okay, if we added just a condition in the order of conditions regarding that tree, if it is lost, that, you know, a replacement, one or more replacement trees, you know, would be provided, something like that. Would that be all right to everybody, Dennis?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Barry, this is Alan. Generally, for someone to share their screen, you need to make them a co-host. I wanted to let you know that, so you can try that for future hearings.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I'll move on to
Sorry.
oh, that's okay. So comment 2, the riverfront area alterations have been calculated but not delineated on the plans. So I believe that this is in part of the appendix, but we did revise the plans that identify the locations of the riverfront area alteration. You know, the areas within the 100-foot buffer are outlined in red, and the areas within the 100 to 200-foot buffer are outlined in orange. And we calculated those areas on the plans, and the original calculations were slightly off. So we did revise the recalculated numbers and put that total on the riverfront area impact. So that has changed from 14,890 square feet to 13,426 square feet. So those are reflected in the revised attached WPA3 form. So comment 3, floodplain is not included on the plans. Again, in attachment B, you'll see the revised project plans include the floodplain. The project is entirely outside of the 100-year floodplain. Per the FEMA flood mapping, Center Brook is a zone AE regulatory floodway at elevation 281. And all work occurring at or below elevation 281 is within the waterway below top of bank and is therefore counted as land underwater impact. And there are no impacts to the flood zone as part of this project. Comment 4, applicant has provided for a stormwater report and construction period pollution prevention and erosion and sedimentation control plan. Acknowledged. And then is there any proposed riverfront mitigation for this project? Last time it was suggested by the commission to utilize live dormant staking within the riprap for the riverfront mitigation. So we have provided that detail on sheet C07 of the plans that were provided in attachment B in the comment response letter. Comment 6, what other state permits will this require? Chapter 91 dredging. So it is anticipated this project will require Chapter 91 and an Army Corps pre-construction notification permit. Comment 7, could live dormant stakings be installed through voids in the riprap sections at the bank to improve habitat? This was done on the Fowler Street Bridge repair, and yes, as we responded in to comment 5, we will include live dormant stakings for this project. And then comment 8, a little sedimentation has occurred in the wetland from the road runoff. Will new layout prevent this situation? Sediment trail should be cleaned up as part of the work. So this sedimentation is occurring on the southwest side of the bridge. So the existing country drainage is to remain on the west side of the road. The area of concern is near a recently installed utility pole, and it seems that this area was disturbed during the installation of that new pole. So following construction, the area is to be cleaned and restored in loam and seed. A small stone swale will be provided at this low point, as depicted on the revised plans in attachment B. So we did add a detail for the stone swale at the low point, so that should address those concerns with that sedimentation to the wetland. And then comment 9, what happens to any historic granite blocks to be removed? So the intent is to remove and dispose of the blocks. However, should the Conservation Commission and the town want to salvage the blocks, then we would just specify to have the contractor remove and stack the blocks at a town facility for future use.
Dennis, would you be
okay.
okay finding a place, say at the DPW facility to stockpile those blocks?
Sure. I'd like to take a look at them first, obviously, to make sure that they're going to be reusable and we can find a good home for them. But if they're in good shape, yeah, Mike, that's not a bad idea at all.
Thank you.
See if I can find the plan. I think some of the changes are on this sheet, right?
No, keep going. This is the existing conditions plan, I believe.
Okay. Oh, it shows the flood zone though.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
Okay. Tell me when to stop.
So
one.
here, this shows
Yeah.
the revised riverfront area. So the 0 to 100 feet is outlined in red, and the 100 to 200 foot buffer is outlined in orange. So it was just slightly reduced from what we had before on the form.
Yeah, I think when I started thinking about this, I realized that, and it may be that there's very little, most of the riverfront that you're altering is already degraded, most of it, but there might be a little chunk that's not. And maybe that's what, the area that the tree is that Mike was focusing on, that area. This small area in here is pretty natural, but the rest of it is pretty much already previously degraded. So that was just something I wanted to point out to the board. And here's the riprap apron for that one, the drainage that you were talking about, right?
Correct.
Is there another sheet that we should look at, or does this have most of them?
This has most of it. If you were to just scroll up a tab, go back down. If you can just show where the pedestrian bridge is on that existing plan. I think it's on this sheet before.
Up here, this one?
Yeah, so this is the existing conditions plan, but if you move your cursor down along where your cursor is, that's where we intend to provide the riverfront mitigation area that the pedestrian bridge is going to take. And that the tree will just be moved to probably about where your cursor is, that red maple. So again, I will get you that plan shortly hereafter. So
yeah, and then there's also the plan that shows the dormant, the stakings and the riprap.
yes, I believe that's a few sheets down.
There they are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I looked at your comments. responses, and there's also a DEP response too. Maybe you guys do you want to talk through that, the DEP comments?
Yes, so we received some comments from DEP on the NOI application. We received 3 comments, and so basically comment 1 is about the stream crossing replacement. NOI proposals should be filed with the analysis required under 10.538 included. So as part of our response, we went through the alternative analysis points that they highlight in 10.538. But specifically, they asked what the current span, what is the current span, what is the proposed span, and what is bank full width, and how was bank full width determined. So just jumping down to the second paragraph, you know, the existing horizontal clearance from face of existing abutment to face of existing abutment is 13 foot 8 inches. The proposed bridge will have a horizontal clearance of 16 feet from face of proposed abutment to face of proposed abutment. So it is an improvement over the existing condition at this point. The bank full width is 17 foot 4 inches, and that was determined by measuring the width between the top of bank flags, B6 and A6, B7, A7, and B8. I should actually read A8 on the upstream side of the top of, on the upstream side and the top of bank flags, B3, A3, and B2, A3 on the downstream side, and taking the average of the measurement. So they all, for the most part, were within between 17 feet to 17 foot, like about 8 inches, 9 inches. So 17 foot is a in our determination is what the bank full width would be. So the one standard that we're not meeting here is the crossing span standard, which is to be the 1.2 times bank full width. And so we going through some of the 10.538, the factors that should be considered for determining the ability to meet the stream crossing standards as the alternatives analysis. So we decided to just address each for this proposed condition. So you know, potential for downstream flooding. You know, we basically, the downstream flooding could be increased if the span length of 1.2 times bank full width is met. It is, you know, Center Brook at the Grove Street Bridge is located within the National Flood Insurance Program base 100-year flood special flood hazard area with a defined regulatory floodway. So the proposed clear span of 16 feet is an improvement over the existing 13 foot 8 inch clear span. And is about the maximum span that we can provide that maintains the base flood elevation, because we are looking at a no rise flood since it's in the NFIP. So the next consideration in the alternatives analysis is the upstream and downstream habitat, in-stream habitat, wetlands. So you know, while no wetlands will be impacted as part of this project, work within the stream is proposed. However, as this is an open bottom structure with natural bottom substrate, and it will remain as such, it is anticipated that the habitat in the area will remain unaffected. Depth and velocity will also remain similar to the existing conditions, so which will preserve the existing habitat. So potential for erosion and head cutting would be slightly reduced if meeting the crossing standard. However, there is no evidence of erosion and head cutting at the crossing currently. Stream stability. The stream stability at the crossing location is not affected by the improvements being proposed, and meeting the crossing standard will not affect the stream ability either. And we had reoriented the culvert, so it actually does improve you know, the flow, the stream flow. So habitat fragmentation caused by the crossing. So the surrounding area consists mostly of industrial business use, so there's no habitat fragmentation anticipated as part of this project. In addition, the proposed bridge is similar to the existing, so any habitat will remain intact. So the next condition to review is the amount of stream mileage made accessible by the improvements. Stream mileage made accessible by the improvements will not be changed, even if meeting the crossing standard. Storm flow conveyance, as the storm flow conveyance is slightly improved with the increased proposed horizontal clearance, but again, conditions mainly stay the same. Engineering design constraints specific to the crossing. So the design constraints specific to the crossing include limited right-of-way, access to private property on the southeast corner of the bridge, utility conflicts, including drainage, gas main, and telecommunications duct bank, and maintaining the hydraulic opening that so it will not affect the regulatory floodway. The next condition analyzes the hydrologic constraints specific to the crossing. Again, hydrologic constraints specific to the crossing includes maintaining a hydraulic opening that does not adversely affect the regulatory floodway. Impacts to the wetlands that would occur by improving the crossing. If the crossing was improved to meet the crossing span standard, the design water elevation of the crossing may be reduced, which may adversely affect the existing wetlands on the southwest corner of the bridge. And again, the analysis is very limited, but that's its potential to lower the water elevation in that downstream area. So potential to affect property and infrastructure. Again, just meeting the crossing span standard would affect access to private property on the southeast corner of the bridge and would affect existing utilities, including the drainage, gas main, and telecommunications duct bank. And then cost of replacement. So meeting the crossing span standard would increase the cost of the bridge replacement than what is currently proposed. So those are the items that are listed in 10.538 that we went through. So comment 2 that that Mass DEP had. So in regards to standard 7 for redevelopment, stormwater should demonstrate an improvement over existing conditions. C and B improves existing conditions. Applicant should demonstrate what improvements are proposed. And will the new catch basin be an improved design? Is it a deep sump catch basin? So the proposed catch basin shall conform to the relevant provisions of MassDOT section 200, the standard specs. At a minimum, the proposed catch basin will have a 48-inch sump depth. In addition, the roadway will be regraded to create a low point at the proposed catch basin to help define the drainage area and collect additional storm water on the other side of the bridge as well. So, and furthermore, we provided a riprap stone apron proposed on the west side of the road to reduce sedimentation runoff on that southwest corner. And then comment 3, Chapter 91 license may be required, and we acknowledge that, and we had checked in with the waterways, and they did concur that a Chapter 91 license is required. We had just sent this in today back to Mass DEP, just so the commission knows. And with that, I believe those were all the comments that we received on this project. So I'm open to any further questions or other comments that the commission may have.
Mary, do you have anything else, or any members of the commission? Any comments? Dave has
yeah, I mean, it's kind of a tangential one, but I was just wondering, Dennis, do you know that 48-inch pipe that drains into the brook? Are we pretty sure that that comes from that intermittent stream on the other side of the intersection?
Are you talking about the stream that's behind the town hall parking lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one and the same.
Oh, okay.
And Dennis, just we had talked about this a little bit the last time we had a hearing. You're confident that 48-inch, is adequate to handle flood flows?
I am, Mike, and I reached out to MassDOT and I asked if they had taken a hard look at that culvert and that pipe that extends down to the brook, and they said that they had, and that they felt comfortable that it would meet all of the storm requirements. I guess the proof is in the pudding, right? And we had two pretty good substantial storms back to back with some snow melt involved, and that culvert didn't go underwater. I mean, we had some issues with some debris. If you remember, Mike, I came back in front of you guys last year and asked permission to go in there and just do some mild cleanup. By the way, we took your advice and we stayed clear of everything that was on the flats. So if you look out there, you'll notice a lot of that dead is still there. That's not impeding the water flow. We just took everything that was within the waterway itself out. But other than that, that culvert did fantastic. And I would think that would be a true test.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the commission? Or it looks like we may have some members of the public here, and I think Mike had analysis on as well. I guess I'll just open it up to any questions from that anyone has at this time. Okay, well, hearing none, then Dennis would be appropriate to close this hearing.
I would ask the commission respectfully to close the hearing.
Obtain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the motion?
We just need to, they still need to get us the updated planting plan, but as long as that's in good shape, I think that's the only thing we're missing.
You can need be require that as a condition.
Yeah.
You have to. Okay. All right, then hearing no other comments, concerns, voice vote, please, the commission.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Mike, aye. That everybody? Okay. All right. Well, closes the hearing. Thank you. Have an order issued within 21 days.
Thank you.
Oh, one question. Would you like to see a draft order? Dennis, just Mary, would that be all right if you just
Yeah.
circulated a draft order to Dennis?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we have time to do that. I think this is a significant enough project to warrant that.
Yeah, I have it mostly put together. I did send one out, but it wasn't, it's missing the few conditions we talked about tonight.
Okay. All right, well, thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks. Thank you, Dennis.
Okay, it's 7:30, so we can go on to our next continued hearing, which is for the Governor's Landing Sanitary Sewer and Water Main and Pump Station. This is located, it will be located on 140. Someone here to present that project.
Ty and Bond should be, I can't see everybody, so I can't tell if Paul Smith is on or not. I see Emily.
I believe they are both on, and they are,
Yeah,
I
Paul
believe
and I are here,
they're both panelists.
yep, as well as Luke and then Melissa Cody. I don't know,
Um,
Mary, if you see her, if you could let her in as a
Yeah,
panelist too, that'd be great.
she's listed as an attendee right now.
Okay.
Melissa is John Nenhart. I don't know if does anyone know him? Is he one of your?
Yeah, he's for the next hearing,
Oh, okay,
or he's
Okay.
later on.
okay, thanks. Okay, take it away.
if you're planning on sharing your screen, let me know who's going to do that and we'll see if we can enable that.
Let me see here. Paul, are you able to share?
Do you have the presentation open?
I do.
You want to share if you have it open?
Sure. Yep. Let me share this.
Okay, see if it works for you, Emily.
All right. Apologies here. I'm having some trouble. Can't get it to share. I don't know why. It won't load. Apologies, everyone.
Mary, is she marked as a co-host?
Yeah, I added her as a co-host.
Okay, there we go. It just popped up now.
Oh, good.
All right.
Perfect.
Yay. Thank you guys. Can everybody see this?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. Okay. All right. So thank you guys. This is the Governor's Landing Water Sewer Project. This is new utilities up on Route 140 on Milford Street. All right. Everyone can still see this, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. So with us today, we have Melissa Cody and Luke Fromm, who developed the NOI, and then Paul Smith and then myself, who are working on the design side for the utility work. And any of you guys feel free to jump in on this. So going through this presentation here, we did the introductions, we'll do a project overview, we'll review the notice of intent details, and then we'll open it for any discussion that the commission may have. So our site location, 41 and 45 Milford Street. We're coming roughly up from the community center all the way up past Prospect Street up 140. So the whole purpose of this project, there's a new development going in up on 140, and the development needs new public utilities. So we are designing sewer and water connections for this project here. Our schedule, we're still designing through here, and we're anticipating a construction season in the, we're trying to go out to bid in the spring, and then construct this in the summer and fall. Melissa, do you want to hop in on this one? You want to talk about the filing details and the jurisdiction here?
Sure. So
Thank you.
under the town's bylaw, there are alterations proposed within the buffer zone. Specific to the bylaw, there's approximately 2,000 square feet within the 100-foot buffer zone of an isolated wetland. This is associated with the area around the proposed pump station, but not the pump station itself. And within that 100-foot local buffer zone, there is no disturbance within the first 30 feet. So the majority of that area will be stabilized, and post-construction, it will just serve as the area around the pump station itself. Other activities subject to the town's bylaw, but exempt from the Wetlands Protection Act, pertain to the construction of utilities in the paved footprint of the roadway, and that was also characterized in the permit application.
So we've included some of the drawings here. This is our proposed pump station. It's right near the Gasco gas station. So our limits of the work with the pump station, and Mary, I know we've spoke about this already, but 100-foot buffer zone does come through our pump station area here, but we are not installing any impervious surface in there. There will be a driveway, it'll be a gravel driveway. So all work, we're going to keep it within the 100-foot buffer zone here. We have erosion controls where appropriate. Let's see.
We've got the
sorry,
culvert
here's a better-
crossing here, Emily, as well.
Yeah, and the culvert crossing, yeah. So, yeah, oops, let me back up a slide here. So, this is an existing pump station up at Glen Ave and Hartford Avenue South. This is what we are proposing for the pump station design along 140.
The
me see, let me
intent there was
back
to
up.
the intent there was to give you folks an idea in terms of what the concept is going to be, what the finished product will look like. That's not exactly it, but concept wise, that'll be close to what the finished product here is for Governor's Landing.
Yep. Yeah, and then just backing up, I know one of the questions that DEP had was this 48-inch culvert that's over at the intersection of Milford and Prospect Street. This culvert is actually going to be replaced by Mass DOT next year. So what we're doing is we're actually designing everything to make sure that we have adequate space underneath the new proposed culvert. So we're going to have an 18-inch clearance from the bottom of the new proposed culvert with our new pipes. And then during construction, we will have our contractor, maintain and temporarily, stabilize the culvert there as we put the pipes under. They'll be sleeved in the steel casing, and we'll use flowable fill to make sure that we stabilize anything under the culvert there. And then we've included just some of our details here, standard details. If anybody wants me to jump back to these and look at them in more detail, I'm happy to do so. So yeah, does anybody have any questions?
Mary, do you have any questions you'd like to ask at this point?
Right. Well, one of the things we talked about was that not all the wetlands had been included on the plans, but I believe they have been now.
Yes. Yep. We did update that. I know we were showing, well, we can kind of see on the slide there was a few more wetlands up in this area. We do have those incorporated now. We do have appropriate erosion controls over there. The portion of that work, that's all within the roadway. So no, the only work off the roadway is the pump station.
And that work is shown in that second slide there, Emily, with the that bottom viewport. Go back one more.
Oh, sorry.
That bottom viewport there. Yeah. So west of Elm and Brook Street is the area that we did not submit on initially, that we're showing now with proper erosion control.
Okay. Yeah, and I believe the only there is a DEP file number, and I believe their only comments were about showing erosion controls, right? They were looking for erosion controls in the area of the pump station.
Is that another DEP comment in addition to the culvert crossing?
I feel like I didn't look at the comments recently, but yeah, their first comment: project plans should be revised to include location of proposed sedimentation controls between the work area and down gradient resource areas.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they mentioned the culvert.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and Emily, those were provided in the resubmitted drawings. For whatever reason, they're not showing in this plan view on the top, but we absolutely will be installing straw wattles, within the buffer as required. And those were provided in the resubmission. For whatever reason, they're not shown right now.
Yeah, my only other comments, some of the wetland flags were missing. I thought maybe they could be rehung before work is started, just to give workers an idea of where they are. The ones that are next to the pump station.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
And yeah, most of this project is exempt under the state law, and I believe they're, well within the town bylaw. So I think we're good to go ahead with it.
Thank you.
Any questions from the commission? Yeah, I have one, just, you mentioned straw, are you gonna use straw wattles or compost tubes?
We have straw wattles specified right now.
Okay,
Mike, we can use whatever the town, whatever you guys prefer. We're open to, if you guys prefer compost tubes over straw wattles, not a problem.
well, I'll give you my personal opinion on, I worry about straw wattles because most of the ones that are deployed in Massachusetts have poly netting. Now it's supposedly photodegradable, but it still can last a long time. And if the wattles aren't removed, then it's a persistent risk to wildlife. And the compost tubes don't have that risk because they're not made partially out of poly webbing. So there is a Mary and I did a little research on this a while back. There is a straw wattle that we think is available in the East that uses jute netting instead of poly netting. But I don't know.
If I'm reading this correctly, the commission's desire then is for biodegradable exterior that provides sedimentation control. So the compost tube.
Yeah, I think let the commission. I'd like the rest of the commission to weigh in, but I personally would prefer that poly netting not be used.
Yep.
That's basically the comment. Be avoided or not used. So.
Yeah, sure. And Mike, we always require the contractor to clean up all erosion controls at the end of the project too. So, we do both, and then we should be good to go.
Okay. Any other comments from the commission? And I'm not sure if there's anyone from the public on. Look at the list of participants. Bear with us a bit. This is the first time we've had to run a webinar like this. There are 4 attendees.
I think most of those are for later hearings.
Are they all okay? So there's if anyone who's an attendee and wants to raise their hand, otherwise, and there's no other comments from the commission. Excuse me. I guess, Mary, can we consider closing the hearing?
Yeah.
DEP number, I forgot.
Yes, we have a DEP number.
DEP commented, so we have the number. Okay.
Yeah, this is the first time we've heard this, but it was supposed to come before us, I believe, almost a month ago in January. And there was a continuance, and then we couldn't do it last meeting.
So, well, hearing that, I guess, just no concerns, I'd entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion on that? All right, hearing none, voice vote, please. Mike, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
David, aye.
Sandy, I. Marcella, I.
Okay, I believe that's everybody. All right, hearing's been closed. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, folks. All right, it's 7:46. We have an agenda item at 7:50 for an enforcement order on Maple Ave.
Yeah,
this
Mike, I
is-
think we can go ahead with this because a few of the attendees are here and it's not an advertised hearing.
Okay, let's go for that, Mary. Please lead into that.
Okay, so you folks may remember, I don't know, there's a month ago on Maple Ave, we looked at pictures of a fire pit and grass, and this had been established in a wetland area. So the board voted to do enforcement, and we sent letters to the 4 homeowners that were in this condominium unit, and we have 2 of them here tonight. And I did talk to Alan Noyes on the phone a little bit about this. And what we can do, let me just show you guys again what we had looked at before. All right, so this blue line is approximately the wetland line that I took off the plans. I can pull the plans up too. And this shows the aerial showing grassy area, showing so that on this side would be the wetland. This side is upland. The fire pit, there's, some plantings that have been put in here. I believe it's like perennial grass and stuff like that. And this has been here for a while. And maybe I'll just pull up. And there's also this stuff down here, I don't know where this is coming from, but people could be any of the neighbors, putting like leaves and yard waste down there. That's in the wetland. So here's the plans for San Marino Villa. These are old. Go back 2002. I think what's interesting is, and this obviously wasn't ever implemented. There's supposed to be so here's the building, here's Maple Ave. This is the wetland flags are this line here. There's also a flood boundary. But what the original, what was originally proposed was that there was be a fence along here and that nothing was to go back here. No lawn, nothing. Now a lot of the lawn is in upland, and this lawn has been here for a long time. So, this kind of illustrates one of the problems of, no certificate of compliance was ever issued. So no inspection was ever done. And we never said, oh, you shouldn't have a lawn here right when they put it in and made them take it out or whatever. So this lawn has been here for a while. And I think the building residents enjoy it. But it does go into the wetland. So kind of the question is, how do you move forward? What we should do. It seems to me like, at a minimum, we might want to ask them to move the fire circle out of the wetland area and then stop maintaining this grass here because this area is wetland. And then the plantings here could maybe be moved to help delineate. And maybe there needs to be bounds in here. I don't know, but that's kind of the conversation we need to have. In terms of getting a certificate of compliance, it's these units, and then there's another one further south. I think I'd have to look through the order, but I feel like I did look at this a little bit when we had another certificate of compliance request for Knowlton Circular. And it seemed like most everything else was in order for this section. It was just mainly this encroachment here that was the issue. And you can also see on the aerial that a fence was installed. This is chain link, not split rail, but it was stopped here. It never kind of made it around the corner.
Okay, is there anyone here, any to represent the owners here, or anyone to represent the owners? At the moment?
Hopefully they're allowed to talk. I'll stop share to see if make sure
are
they
you-
can talk.
Are you there?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Hey, I don't see my face, so I don't know if I'm on camera or not, but yeah, so
just to let you know, you're not. You're not
okay, all
on
right,
camera right
because
now.
I didn't do my hair, so yeah, so I spoke with Mary and kind of quite in detail. I'm the one who put the fireplace in, so I'm taking full responsibility for that. But where it is, it is dry, and I know that there's a line that that marks where the wetlands is. And if I have to move it, then that's fine. I can move it. I actually, which is kind of funny, is that I moved it from where it was okay to where it was not okay just 2 years ago. So just to keep it away from the building itself, and kind of center it more. But yeah, I mean the lawn's been there for quite some time at this point. And I know that I'm not sure who else is on the call from our units, but I know that 2 of the units next to me, they're young family, kids, and I know that they enjoy it. My kids are older now, so they're not here nearly as often as I would like them to be. But with the main street that's right there, you can see the driveways and the car. There's really no place for kids to play safely. And that's kind of where it's been taken over, I guess, over the 10 years that I've been here anyways. So I don't know what more you want me to talk about, but
Okay.
that's kind of where I'm.
Well, thank you. Any comments from the commission? What we would like to see here done here?
Where
Is-
exactly was the pit before? You said it was closer to the buildings?
Yeah, if probably right where that line is. I can't control the mouse, but
But-
it was a little bit, I guess you said south, so probably south of that, but
So was it in an area that's grassy right now?
not where the mouse is currently, but south of that, I guess, if that's
Was
kind of
like
what
down here.
yeah, maybe, yeah, so where, no, that's like tree area, but it to the left and to the to the left and south a little bit more, but
But but you think it was out of this wetland area somewhere?
I mean, I think so. It's hard
Yeah.
it's hard to tell.
Well, I think some of this shade back here is also lawn. It's hard to tell with that shading. Like the lawn goes all the way back here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I see that there's a property line there, but I feel like there's my neighbor's fences in that area, but there's also tree coverage there, and that's, even where it was before, I mean, aside from me moving it because I just felt it was just to be neighborly anyways, to get, if there was any smoke blowback, to get it away from, people's back, windows. But just the tree coverage, it's just, you can see that it's wide open there. There's no trees overhanging or anything else like that. So I just thought it was safer anyways. But I mean, and I don't know if it matters or not, but it is dry there. And I know it's technically a wetland, but it is dry. It's not, it doesn't get wet. Like it doesn't really get, it actually gets more wet probably where I had it before, which is outside of that blue line. Because really in that dark shaded area, it's like it's all mossed. So no, south.
Yeah, well, this would be within the wetland. The wetland,
Yeah,
it's
no, I'm talking more closer to the house.
like up here.
Actually, where it's I can't read those numbers, but see where it says like 35.
Oh,
Okay.
down here.
Yeah, and then move to the left a little bit more. Well, yeah, so probably it used to be in that area there. I mean, yeah, probably was still in the wetlands area, but it's actually wetter there than it is where it currently is. And I think a lot of that is the wet is moisture is from the drainage of our gutter system, I'm guessing. I mean, I think that's where the gutters drain out, I think.
Mhm.
I don't really
Yeah,
know,
it could be.
but
Another question, is that something that the fire department is supposed to weigh in on, or can anyone just put a fire pit in the backyard?
Good question.
I mean, that I don't know, but I mean, I mean, a lot of people have fire pits in their backyard, but I do register every year with, you know, and making sure that if I have a fire, that I check the weather report, and if the fire department says that it's okay, then it's okay.
Mhm.
So I take all precautions.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I hadn't heard that that's something that they do, but if we're gonna be.
I've never heard of it, but maybe you know.
Yeah, I see a
One
note
day.
from Mike Antonellis. He doesn't think that there is anything that the fire department does. Yeah, just, you know, if we are gonna be asking you to move it, just, you know, we want to make sure it moves someplace safe.
Like I said, I mean, I don't have any you know, it's fine. If I have to move it, I have to move it. I'd rather not, but I feel that yes, it's close to the line, and I think Mary said that we don't really even know exactly where this line is, but you know, if we're talking 5-6 feet or so, that is the safest spot, because I mean, that's a hill, like up in that, I think you call it upland. Is that what you call upland
Yeah.
area? I mean, that's kind of a hill. So that's it definitely, I mean,
When you say it's a hill, is it somewhat sloped there?
yeah, it's slow. Yes, I say a hill, but it's sloped. It's not
Okay.
can't really go sledding down it or anything, but it's
Well, you know, I'll give you my opinion, but I really want the commission to weigh in on this too. I could probably accept the current location. I would like to see some sort of bounds that would prevent further wetland encroachments in the future. And also, final question is, I think this is probably good for, aside from this whole issue with the fire pit, is to apply for a certificate of compliance, to clear your, you know, to clear your self with the order conditions. So that someday some attorney, real estate attorney, is going to be reviewing this, is going to say, where is your order? Where is your certificate of compliance? And
yeah.
then there'll be they may not have done it yet, but it'll happen someday. And then there'll be a scramble to issue one. So it would be good to just get that out of the way. But the main issue at hand is the fire pit. Personally, I could live with it, as long as there are some no disturb bounds installed. So, rest of the commissioners, what do you think?
Sandy LaJoy here. I recall when this was put in and some of the commission members predicted that, you know, this could be a possibility down the line because, you know, there's four residences here and no place for children to play actually, so it's very difficult situation right now. I agree with you, Mike. This spot where it is now looks like the safest place, even though it is in the wetland. And as long as there was not a lot more encroachment, it seems like the fairest alternative is just to let it go. Somehow set up some bounds or some parameters and get their certificate of compliance. So
Thanks, Sandy. Anyone else?
that's me. You were there too, weren't you, Mike?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We didn't really think that children would be there, that, you know, that would just be.
Yeah, it was a very tight spot. And the other thing I'm
Yeah.
worried about, we don't know for sure, but you know, there's a wetland line, but there may have been some mounds past the wetland, you know, so it's possible this area with the fire pit was actually dry and just never delineated. You know, sometimes basically I'm not saying it is, but it possibly was a little upland island, you know, beyond the wetland bounds. That occurs sometimes, and you may have just you know, found a relatively dry spot to put your fire ring. So it may have been a more, if the wetlands, it would have been more closely delineated. Possibly it wasn't even it was a little upland island.
Yeah, there were hydric soils pretty much all around it, so.
Unless you know, punch a hole through the fire ring and actually see what's underneath it, you can't be entirely sure.
Right. But Mike, fire pits aren't really filling wetlands. There's a little disturbance there, but they're not really filling
Well,
or altering. Well, it's sort of altering.
there's potential
Yeah.
alteration. I mean, trees could be growing up there, yeah. But anyway, I'm, you know, I'm good for allowing it to remain.
Yeah.
This is David. Yeah, I agree with Sandy and Mike. The other thing I was wondering is that looks like a really big pile of yard debris that's down there. I was just wondering if we could have that removed and maybe some signs just saying, you know, wetland, no dumping or something along those lines too.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is. I never have walked back there, so I have no idea what
Yeah, I
it
wonder
is.
if it
probably
almost looks
comes-
like it's coming from the adjacent
Yeah.
yards to the west.
Yeah.
From Depot Street someplace. So
Mhm.
do you have a homeowners association?
Yeah.
Or are you just individual owners? How's that working?
Yeah, we are an HOA
Okay,
and they're individual owners too. So, but yeah, it's an HOA.
so you'll all get together and come up with something.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, it's again, it's me. I mean, I'm the payer of the association, trustee.
Okay,
So it's easy for me to send out a message and letting everyone know that we
so
cannot,
you're the organizer, okay.
that we can't go any, you know, not that we're going any further, but that we will not go any further.
Yep.
We'll just
Are we
leave it
going to
as
request-
it is.
That bounds be put in? Is that necessary?
I think that's a good idea. I was wondering, maybe we could
Something
provide a
else to go
sketch
out.
of where we
Right.
think bounds could go. And then we discuss whether or not they have to be bounds, or we could use if boulders instead of concrete posts. So I think possibly we could put bounds along most of the wetland line with just a jog in to kind of encircle the fire circle. And then I would like, you know, perhaps to try to figure out who's dumping the yard waste or whatever that is, and on your property. And like what's suggested, maybe put some signage up along your property bounds, just to say no dumping or something like that.
Okay.
So
Is this something that, I mean, I don't know how all this works, so it's, is this something that you guys will do, or?
Well, no, we would, I think we would provide you with some guidance, and then the implementation would be on the homeowner association. So again, what we'd be asking for, if the commission wants to do this, would be bounds, which is something we often ask for. It's part of a wetland permitting situation, and possibly some signage to prevent any further dumping of, if that is yard waste there. If it isn't yard waste, it'll just decompose over time. It doesn't have to be removed. But it would be good if we, you know, some signage was installed to just deter future dumping. Mary, did you have a chance to look at that area when you were out there?
I did walk back there, and I think it's in a previous agent report. I was just trying to think what meeting we approved this at. I think it might have been in December. I may take a minute when it's quiet to look for that, and we could look and see the pictures. But yeah, I think it was leaves. A lot of people were also dumping, like, you know, the remains of a potted plant and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That they didn't want. Grass clippings. May have been some grass clippings too.
Mostly stuff that will decompose.
Yeah, and it maybe the commission can write a letter to the few people on Depot Street that kind of back up into that area, or maybe it should come from the homeowner, or the, you know, the homeowners association. But
yeah, often just a single sign on a metal post that says no dumping
we'll do it.
We'll do it. Yeah.
Okay.
So
this is Bill Taylor. I have a question. Is there a stream back behind there?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, so I expect that the boundaries displayed on the near map imagery are not in the right place, and that the stream probably is likely the boundary. And it does appear from some earlier imagery that there's actually a bridge of some kind across the stream. So it does appear to me that somebody may be coming across the stream to dump stuff. Perhaps. And the other thing is, it actually looks like the other side of the stream in that location has been covered with mulch of some kind.
Down here.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, the property line. Yeah, this is probably the stream, and the property line, you're right, would probably be on the stream.
Mary, could you share it again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the stream runs right here. So yeah, if it's coming from these houses, people are crossing the stream to dump stuff.
Yeah, I'd have to look tomorrow to see, I guess at some point in time during the day, to see what that is. If it's a bush or a tree, I can't tell. But again, I don't walk over there.
Yeah, do you mind maybe well, Mary's got some pictures, but do you mind if any of the commissioners just take a walk back there and take a look?
No.
Okay, some of us might want to do that. That's the stream, by the way, that it passes through the railroad property and eventually past the DPW treatment plant and then flows into the West River.
So I mean, this property line, I mean, is this accurate?
We can't say for sure.
Yeah.
These the yellow lines that you see, sometimes they happen to be quite accurate and sometimes they're off.
Yeah.
You know, just 10 feet, 20 feet, and
Sure.
you
Yeah.
really need to be sure in this kind of situation. You really need to look for bounds or drawings. It's hopefully that looks like the fence that was constructed is right on the property line, hopefully, but you never know till you do a detailed
Yeah. I mean, I feel
investigation.
like between, Samreen Villa and the neighbors behind, that everyone just kind of used the stream as the boundary line. But
Mhm. It
Yeah.
looks like that disturbance though is on the other side of the stream. So
Yep.
anyway, and the stream I think we believe is intermittent. So if anyone's wondering. So anyway, see, it's 8:10 about. We've got an RDA coming up, so I guess I entertain a motion from the commission to resolve this issue. I can try to make them myself, which you guys know how well that goes usually. I guess I would make a motion to, and what's the address? It's 9 to 15 Maple Ave. I would make a motion that the homeowners association for 9 to 15 Maple Ave be allowed to maintain the existing fire pit and circle constructed within wetlands on their property, with the stipulation that wetland bounds be established to protect other wetland areas on the property, with the bounds locations to be approved by the conservation administrator. That's the
Second.
motion. It's been seconded. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, voice vote, please. Mike, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Everybody? All right, thank you. So,
thank
Mary
you.
will be in touch
Okay.
with you for further coordination, and we will try to look into that dumping situation a little bit.
And so we still have an open enforcement order. We'll leave that until probably the bounds are in, and then talk about lifting it.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds good. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Alan. Take
All
care.
right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, it's 8:15 and we have a RDA for 28 Hartford Ave, demolition of a house. And Mary or Grace, could you please read the public notice for this one? This is a new hearing.
All right, I have it. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing on Wednesday, February 28th, 2024. 8:10 p.m. RDA filed by the Town of Upton Affordable Housing Trust for the demolition of the house and any appurtenant structures at 28 Hartford Ave North.
Okay, is there someone here to present the project?
Yeah, I'm here. Mike Antonellis, Town Planner, Director of Land Use and Inspectional Services. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, yes.
So, as was described, and also Kathy Robertson is on. She's the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust as well. So, as was described in the cover letter that was submitted with the RDA, obviously the Affordable Housing Trust is tasked with creating affordable housing within the town. The trust came into control of this property, 28 Hartford Ave North, back in 2017. The trust then attempted to dispose of the property through RFP process to develop interested parties who would want to redevelop the site for affordable housing. In and around 2018, I'm not sure if that RFP just never went forward, or that's about the time that the Affordable Housing Trust just kind of went dark due to various different issues with membership. And so then the trust reconvenes back in last year, 2023, to start anew, realizing that they, own this property. And since that time, the town has been paying insurance on the structure. There have been issues like a leaking oil tank in the basement that's had to be removed. There was no contamination that was a result of it that we know of, but there was just an issue that needed to be dealt with by the fire department. And then recently, there's been some trespassing on the property into the structure, and so it's had to be secured by the DPW. As Mary's pictures can attest to, the structure has obviously been in a state of neglect for quite a while now. We suspect that any investments to make that structure livable, again, probably be greater than or equal to the cost of removing the structure and building a new one. But either way, the intent of the Affordable Housing Commission is to Affordable Housing Trust is to remove the structure as a basically to prep the site for disposition to sell to interested parties in redevelopment of, at bare minimum, the trust being tasked with affordable housing, one affordable housing unit. Maybe it takes the form of a single family home. Maybe it's a duplex with one or both that are affordable. But that is obviously the intent of the trust with this property. Now, I provided, and Mary just had up on the screen there briefly, there was a survey done back in 2018. That survey is dated back when the trust put together the original RFP. I think that's from Allen Engineering. So lucky enough to have that on file. And I was just able to just quickly mark up that plan showing, the yellow highlighted portions are obviously all the structures, the stairs attached, the concrete retaining wall that appears to be an extension of the foundation that's holding up, grading to the rear of the house. All of that would be raised and removed, and then obviously there's a shed to the rear, as you can see as well. The green denotes location of erosion controls. We're open to whatever the standard for erosion controls is, whether it's silt fence, whether it's hay bales. Well, it's some combination of the two, or anything else. That's fine with us. It all just get wrapped up into an agreement with a contractor who will ultimately do the demolition. We'll ensure that any of those conditions get met through that contract. The green underneath the shed I placed there just for the erosion control underneath the shed, just because I didn't know obviously if that would really result in any significant land disturbance that would cause for soils to become loose for removing that. So that's there just out of caution, I suppose. And as you'll see, all the erosion controls are downslope of all the structures and improvements. I should have highlighted the 30-foot no disturb, but you can see that it cuts in pretty close, probably within like 10 feet, I guess, just eyeballing it off of this plan, 10 feet of where I've placed the erosion controls right now. So, but obviously, we wouldn't want any demolition contractor to go into that no disturb for obvious, not only because they shouldn't be disturbing it, but because it's that's the existing line of vegetation, as you can see from how it's noted as well. And so we would just want them to enter the site through the improvements that are already there and remove the structures as they are, and leave the site as it was, sans those structures. So, and then the blue that I have noted, that's a steel plate. So on the map, you can see that's a culvert that runs underneath that driveway. We would request that any contractor who's going to take us up on the demolition of this, that they would place a steel plate over the driveway to help support large construction vehicles going to and from the site in hopes to protect that culvert. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what we're proposing tonight. So Kathy, I'll through the chair, I'll ask if Kathy Robertson would like to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that I'd like to add is that, expediency would be great on this particular project. When we reconvened in the spring, quite frankly, we had not been told that we own this piece of property. And it has consumed a lot of time and a lot of money. And we would like to get this down so we can redevelop it and start really focusing on our mission, which is to provide housing for if affordable housing in the town of Upton. I do believe that the police department at a meeting not too long ago stated that they considered it an imminent hazard because of the trespassing on the site. Other than that, I think Michael just summed up pretty much everything about the property and what is necessary. But yeah, we'd like to just move forward and get this sucker down as quickly as possible.
Mary, would you like to go through your staff review, please?
Sure. So there's a wetland on the site, which is down here. It was delineated when the plan was done. Not all the flags are present on site, and I could not verify the soils due to the cold, but given what I could tell from vegetation and topography, the wetland line appeared to be accurate. There's very steep slopes going up the hill. And so the wetland area is pretty well defined. So that was my main questions were, would any trees need to be removed? The trees have grown in close to the house. You could probably see that from the pictures. I think, and then just a question of stabilization because the building is on a slope. How are they gonna stabilize the, it's a pretty much kind of a walkout basement situation. So I think it should go down and it can be done safely with the erosion controls, etc. So any exposed soil when done should be seeded or covered with bark mulch, or even we were discussing today, maybe jute cloth. It's very wooded in there, so there's not a lot of light until a new development can occur.
Through the chair, although that's all acceptable, whatever Mary suggests and the commission agrees with, placing down some sort of seeding or the block in order to prevent for significant erosion due to the slope is obviously we're happy to comply with that. As far as removal of trees, I would imagine that yeah, because the property's been left unattended to, obviously there has been growth that's come closer to the structure. So I would suspect that obviously, saplings and smaller trees are probably going to be removed if they're, close to 10 feet within from the foundation, as it would have to, but certainly we wouldn't, I don't think anything would be removed as far as what you have noted on that plan, as far as the existing tree line and where the existing building envelope is currently. So we wouldn't want any removal of certain trees. If you felt it was appropriate to put a condition in that trees of a certain caliper be maintained as best as possible, sure. But I'd also just suggest that this will come to the trust, the commission again in the form of an NOI when we do have a bidder and are ready to go forward with any kind of redevelopment.
Mary, the bylaw does not apply, is that correct?
Bylaw would not apply here because the house was built in 1952. So even though they're showing the 30-foot no disturb zone, technically they wouldn't have to. Although there is a question of once the house is destroyed, I think we've kind of, it's not clear whether it would apply for the new construction, so.
Yeah, we've run into that discussion a couple times before, and I just will have to have it again for the site. There any other questions from the commission or anyone else in attendance?
Yep, this is Bill Taylor. I'm just curious, are all of the cement retaining walls being taken out as well?
Yeah, I think I did note those to be removed. I think they likely will have to be to make way for future redevelopment of the property.
Mike, this is Tom Django. I have a kind of a funny question. I know in some towns when they're going to tear down buildings, sometimes they bring it to the fire department to see if it's something they wanted to light on fire so they can practice. So, I don't know if this would be a good example of something that could do that, but it's just something to consider. If it would help the fire department, if it would help them in their training, I think it'd be a good idea. If it doesn't make sense, I understand.
Tom, just this is Kathy Robertson, just through the chair, this is just a quick response. This is in a pretty congested area. It's like cheek to jowl to some adjacent properties up gradient. So it probably would be a little bit problematic to do that. It's just my thought. I don't think the neighbors would like it much.
That's okay. I just wanted to bring it up. If it could help the town, then
Yeah.
I want to do it. If it doesn't make sense, it
The
doesn't
cost
make sense.
savings for sure. So yeah, that would help out. Yeah, but we'll consider it absolutely.
Okay, any other comments from anybody? Okay, then, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the hearing and issue a negative determination.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, any discussion?
no,
All in favor? Mike, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, so thank you, Mike and Kathy.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, we will take care, folks. All right. Amazingly, we're on time again here. It's 8:30. We have a request to amend DP number 311-013, 813, excuse me, at 44 Milford Street to include installation of a new diesel pumping station and EV charging station. Mr. Nenhart, are you going to present this?
I think we should read the notice first, though.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing on Wednesday, February 28th at 8:30 p.m. Request for an amended order of conditions, DEP number 311-813, filed by Imperial Gas Upton LLC for the following additional changes to the project: the installation of a diesel pump, concrete spill pad and canopy, installation of one electric vehicle charging station, and other minor improvements located at 44 Milford Street.
Hi, good evening. John Nanot with Imperial Gas. As you know, I was in front of the board probably 3 months ago. We're currently under construction on the site of the renovation of the building. The owner of the property has been out there pretty much every day since then, and he's decided to do some more renovations. The main renovation, I think, on the whole site is replacing. There's currently 2 underground fiberglass storage tanks, a 12,000 gallon tank and an 8,000 gallon tank. They're approximately 28 years old. They have all the modern monitoring systems, but the concrete slab above them is breaking up. We've had to do some repairs on the manholes and stuff. So if we're going to replace the pad, he decided that he would like to replace the tanks. We try to do that about every 30 years on our stations, so that we don't run into problems. The next improvement that we'd like to do, since he's been out here every day, he sees how congested the pumps in the front get with trucks and trailers and landscapers with the diesel product. It pretty much clogs up the whole front of the store. If anybody has gone there for gas, they'll attest to that. If there's a truck that pulls a trailer, it takes up the whole side of the station. And then they come and they fill the truck plus whatever equipment they have on the thing, and you have people waiting quite a long time. What we'd like to do is put a single pump, a 2-sided pump, in the pavement to the right over here, so that trucks can come in and access that. That would have a canopy with fire suppression. This one pump only would be self-serve for the contractors. They would exit around the building and out, or they could come in this side to use the pump on the other side. So it would be one 2-sided pump with easy access, and it'll get rid of that truck traffic. We will no longer have diesel directly in front of the building. These would just be gas pumps. Also, as part of the project, we would like to add a, oh my God, I'm pointing to my screen and I didn't share it.
Yeah, do you want to share yours? Did you say you have?
Yeah, I had a
you share
presentation.
yours?
I'm pointing to it. Believe me, I was moving my mouse around. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
why don't you try sharing yours? Yeah.
Let me share my screen here. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, let me start over. So this is the concrete. This is the concrete pad I was talking about, and these are where the 2 tanks. These manholes have been breaking up. They've remortared them in a couple times. We were going to replace the pad. Like I said, the tanks are 28 years old. We'd like to put 2 brand new tanks in, new monitoring system. It has a current monitoring system. It's all digital and everything up to date, but we'd like to just replace all that while we have this torn up. The pump that I'm speaking of would go right here. The existing pumps are right here. The new canopy would cover the one pump. It's a 20 by 20 foot canopy with fire suppression, so that one pump can be self-service. It's hard to see on the color drawing, but there's a full spill pad around the entire pump system. Our other improvement to the site is we would like to add one charging station, but it's actually 2 stations. It's 1 unit. It's a fast charger. To add that, I had this discussion with Mary. It takes about 400 amps for one charging unit, 200 amps on each side for the fast chargers. Ideally, we would have liked to come into the building and did something close to the building, but just to get an 800 amp panel is out about 1.5 years. So our electrician came up with the idea of coming off of a pole here with an additional, we do have a 400 amp service in the building, an additional 400 amp service directly off the pole. There would be a transformer and a utility box that has all the fuses and stuff in it that would feed the one charging station. As part of that one charging station, there's currently 3 parking spots in this little area here that is surrounded by curb, but the curb comes up and then bumps out like this and around. And what the parking spaces over there are only 12 feet deep. They're almost, so the first one's usable, the second one's kind of usable, but the third one's not. We'd like to remove this section of grass and curbing, move the curbing so it curves in and comes in straight to the parking. That would allow us to put conforming parking spaces 18 feet deep and have 3 spots there. 2 would be for the electric charge and 1 would just be an extra parking space. Currently, there's 4 parking spaces that run along this line that come out like this. We would like to move those 4 spots to along this edge. This is our current propane tank for filling canisters and stuff. We would hatch the area in front of that so that there's no parking directly in front of that. And the last thing we would like to do is, Mary mentioned the fence. The fence is in pretty much disrepair. It's an old cedar fence. We'd like to replace that fence while we're doing the charging station and stuff. We're proposing erosion control just directly right behind the fence all the way down. The site currently still has the erosion control. It has erosion control up here where there's no curbing surrounded there. It has 2 rows of erosion control, 1 at the beginning of the silt fence, 1 at the bottom of the swale. We have completed the bioretention area. Other than the plantings, it's working fantastic. Even in the heavy rain we had in December, on December 17th, there's barely any flow over the level spreader now. It pretty much goes in and infiltrates into the ground in that bioretention area. So that should really help this slope over here that there was some scarring on. I don't believe that's happening at all anymore. As part of the removal of the grass here, to keep our impervious the same, where we would be removing about 284 square feet of grass here. We would be replacing it in this corner, which is more in the 30-foot no disturb. We would be replacing 300 square feet, and then we'll also do an additional 11 shrubs along the edge. This is the area that the gray shrubs here are the area that we've already come in front of you, that we're kind of restoring that some of that buffer zone and only leaving a 4 or 5 foot strip area of grass. We would continue that and add some more shrubs in this area here. That's pretty much the whole project. Oh yeah, one more thing, we would be moving the sign, because you'll see here the sign is half in and half out of where that island would be removed. So we'd be moving the sign here. We are scheduled to go in front of planning board with a special permit for the site and for the sign on March 18th. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, Mary, staff review, any comments, please?
Yeah, so do you want to?
If you could stop sharing, John, please.
Oh, sure, yeah. All right, let me figure out how to do that.
I got it for you.
Okay, thanks.
My screen. All right, so they do have the erosion controls and no disturb zone indicated on the plan. Erosion controls are straw wattle and silt fence. This is in addition to the existing erosion controls, which have already been installed. New erosion controls surround the area to be planted with grass and the proposed electric vehicle charging station, and these erosion controls should be sufficient. The diesel canopy and pump will require a waiver from the bylaw for our 75-foot no build. It's about half in and half out. It is all within previously disturbed area and is not adding any impervious area to the lot. it was my sense that it would be difficult to put the pump in another place, John, in the area. It seemed like that was a good spot for it. And then
Yeah,
again,
it was basically the only spot that wouldn't disturb traffic coming in it. You know, if the trail is still parked there, the traffic can still get to the front pumps. If we shifted it either way, it clogs things up.
yeah. And then the electric vehicle charging station is also within the 30-foot no disturb, but it's in previously disturbed area. So this will also require a waiver from our bylaw. It didn't seem like, I was wondering if you could, pull it a little bit out of that no disturb, but it just seems like it makes it more vulnerable to being hit by a car or something, because you'd have to pull it closer to the roadway or closer to the access to your parking lot to get it out of there. So probably it is in the best spot for it to be potentially. The change in the pavement, I thought that was positive, putting more grass in the no disturb area on the other side of the parking lot. And I talked with John about the soil testing, and John, do you want to explain what you explained to me about what gas stations are required to do?
Yeah, so we have a full monitoring system there. We do daily logs of every gallon of gas. The site had a clean 21E. They had a spill, I don't know, 30 years ago, and it was cleaned up. It has a clean bill of health. There's no restrictions on digging or anything. We will be hiring Global Industries. It's a petroleum contractor to replace the tanks. Any digging they do, if they find anything that smells petroleum or they see anything, they're required by Mass General Laws 21E to report it immediately. I think it's a step that doesn't need to be taken. And it's a cost to us to get, to do borings down there. It's about $5,000 for the drill. Cost somewhere between $5,000 to $8,000. I did call my environmental company. He basically said he didn't really ever hear of doing that before on a clean site. And I also talked to our environmental lawyer, and he said that the conservation really can't, it's out of their purview. They really can't request us to do that. So I just want to show the board, like, we have not had any spills. The monitoring's done. Every drop of gas is accounted for daily that's in the tanks and out of the tanks. We haven't had any negative reports or filed anywhere. The site has been cleared under a 21E before. So I think it's just an unnecessary cost for us and an unnecessary step. Once Global gets in there, like I said, if they find anything, they have to report it immediately anyway. By law, they have to do that.
Yeah, and it shows a picture of that sign, and this is the area that will be paved over, the sign to be moved. And I believe the electric charging station is going to go approximately right here.
So that would be the transformer for it and the control pad. And actually, Mary, if you go kind of between those two shrubs, it would go right up along the curb for those two spaces. Yeah, but right up against the curb. So we'd be as far as we can from the fence with it. And it would be in between the two spaces that are closest to the, actually, it doesn't matter. I could do it either in the first two spaces closest to the propane tank, or the two spaces. In fact, I probably would do it in the two spaces farthest away from the propane tank, just to be safe. So yeah, it's going to go right along that curb and edge there. We don't plan on changing that curb and edge.
And the fence will be replaced in exactly the same spot,
Yeah,
right?
exactly the same spot. It'll probably be a white 6-foot vinyl fence instead of the cedar fence there.
It's just a view of the area where the new pump will go. And this is an area kind of near the sign. The sign would be over here. This was disturbed by the DOT culvert replacement, and I asked John, and they're happy to just make sure that's reseeded if DOT never comes in and reseeds it.
Yes, we'll absolutely take care of all that. Kevin's not going to leave that like that. It's just that it's in the middle of the winter.
Yeah, so I think the main thing is that the two waivers required here for the canopy for the pump, and then for the electric vehicle charging station also requires a waiver.
Okay, any questions from the commission on this?
Actually, I do have an additional comment. I called the DEP on the amendment status, apparently what the commission should do, and I should have remembered this at the beginning, is, does the commission believe this can be done as an amendment, or would it like to see a new filing? It seems like it could go either way. It seems like an amendment's okay, but just to let you guys know.
Okay, well, I guess that's maybe the first question would be, is the commission okay with this change in the project being handled as an amendment rather than a new NOI? Any thoughts on that?
I don't have any problem with that.
Seems okay to me.
All right, well, I'll make a motion that the proposed activities be considered as an amendment without a requirement for a filing of a new notice of intent.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that one? Okay, hearing none, Mike, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, thank you. And then guess we need a motion. Maybe you could phrase this one, Mary, a motion for the waiver. The waivers, two waivers.
Yeah, motion that the waiver be given for the diesel and canopy pump from the 75-foot no build zone, and a motion for the electrical vehicle charging station to be within the 30-foot no disturb zone.
Okay, so moved.
Move both of those.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, Mike, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Marcella, I.
Sandy, I.
Okay, that's everyone. And then I think that's it. Mary, anything else we need to
I think
vote
you
on?
need to approve the amendment.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the proposed amendment to the order of conditions issued for DEP number 311-0813.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Okay, hearing none. Mike, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Marcella, I.
Sandy, I.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you, John.
I thank the board. Thank you very much. Have a nice night.
Okay, you too, sir. Thanks. All right, well, that ends our hearings for tonight. I guess we can move on to general business administrator's report, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm currently looking for it. Oh, I just found it. All right, so I was at I'll pull it up. From the bottom. I was at 25 Hopkinton Road today. They have a tree in the water, and gave them permission to remove it, although after they got their quote from their tree company, they may just leave it. It's expensive.
Habitat too. You know.
Exactly. I did. I
If
did
happy
tell them-
fish, you know.
Yeah. I did mention that that could be considered habitat.
That's Pratt Pond, right?
Yes, that's Pratt Pond. The wetland area is off to the left. The beach is just beyond. Cemetery's over here.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the gas station is, as you can see, they're working on their addition. It's underway. I was at Cobbler's Creek. They continue to have erosion issues on this one side of the, this is the part 2, I believe, which they have their whole septic area. And it's pretty open and a pretty big hill, and this is the bottom of it. And so they have made huge improvements, but it's still, I think this was after the January storms. And a little bit of it, went over the fence, which was kind of toppled, and made it down into across the fence. So I did talk to the foreman there, and he says he's going to take care of it, but we have to check in with him. Also, Westboro Road, he's got a little bit of an issue here. He has a stream cross or a wetland crossing there, and the wetland has, not a very active intermittent stream, but it's flowing right now, unfortunately. And it's because he's got he's crossed the wetland, but he hasn't put the culvert in or anything yet. It's causing a little bit of an issue. So here's the area where it's ponding. It's gone a little bit over. If there were a very heavy rain, I would be concerned. And this is kind of the crossing areas to the right, and this is where the water's kind of going through. He did try to install some straw bales to slow the flow, and it's going to be a work in progress. We'll just have to keep monitoring it. It's not the greatest situation, but hopefully if we keep after him, we won't have any major problems. The neighbor has been calling to complain too. They're more concerned about moving the erosion control line, which I would be surprised that he did, but I guess it's possible he did. I need to check that. Closer to the wetland. Stoddard Street. So the building is, I guess a wall collapsed, and he decided at that point to take the whole building down, but so it didn't impact the wetlands, but it's causing a fair bit of, he shouldn't have done it the way he did it. So in other ways. I did a site visit to 325 Westboro Road. They are putting an addition on. There is wetlands on the property. This is an intermittent stream, which is not jurisdictional. That's the closest to where the addition's going. All the rest of the wetlands are further than 100 feet. And the project is small enough that it doesn't require an erosion and sedimentation control permit, but just to be aware. And then, oh yes, so I did get town council to review the one Dogwood Ave letter. We can talk about that later. They didn't have any major issues with it. They were fine with it. And I think most of you got the email about the access database. It's working, and it's making me very happy. It just makes life a lot easier for entering data in to projects, and makes it much easier to find things. So we're happy about that. And I think
Nice
that's
job
it.
on that, Mary.
Yeah. I don't think I even made it through my agent's report last time, but I think I got through most of it enough. So.
Well, Mary, the one from last week, I think we got Zoom bombed right in the middle discussing Sweet William Farm, if I remember.
That's right. Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure if you showed the damage to the spillway or not. I think you might have. I think that might have been under discussion just when it happened. But you might want
Yeah.
to show people that, especially anyone who wasn't at that.
Oh yeah. So here's the Stoddard Street before the demo.
Wow. Mm.
A pretty big, right. Oh, here we go.
So this is the spillway for the new pond that the rock protection did not hold up during one or both of the storms we had late last fall. And Mary, I'm just going to say what I remember Mary telling me is that the NRCS is aware of this, and they're going to be preparing a plan to mitigate for this. It looks, it looks like one of two things happened here. Either there was a design flaw; they didn't require large enough stone. The plan called for 5-inch D50, which means by weight, half of the stones were supposed to be larger than 5 inches in size, or else, there was a problem with the actual stones that were used, that they were smaller than spec, and Mary, I personally would like them to submit a repair plan before they actually do this. Make the repairs. Somewhat they're lucky. I mean, if it wasn't for this matting, the erosion control matting that's underneath, the geotextile, excuse me, that's underneath. I mean, they could have had cut and lost the pond.
Yeah. Yeah, I suggested to Grace that maybe while they're waiting for a plan, that they could, and maybe, I don't know, maybe the board doesn't feel strong about this, at least take some of the rock that's spilled down and just throw it up to just get a little bit of cover on that to stabilize the fabric a little bit. I don't know.
I think that's a good idea. Whatever protection they can provide to that in the interim would be good. And hopefully they will have this repaired before the upcoming hurricane season.
Yeah.
Which is basically July, August. Yeah.
Mary, was there any response on our part to Grace's letter regarding the stone walls and the added stone and the for lack of a better word, yard waste that's being piled up?
Yeah, we need to talk about it tonight. That was on the agenda last meeting and we never got to it. So that's a little further down.
Okay.
Or if the board wants to do it now, or whatever.
No, I just thought as long as we're hanging out at
Yeah.
Sweetville or 5-4 Farms, we're
So Mike, let me just go back. I mean, I think what you're saying with, once they submit their repair plan, we'd like to see it, like, and discuss it maybe as a minor modification before they go ahead and do the work, right?
I would appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like them to, be very conservative in terms of the size of the rock that they use here.
Yeah. Yeah, I did talk to Grace briefly about it, or I sent her an email, haven't heard anything back, so I may just give her a call. So I think that's it for my administrator's report. I think that was.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks. Grace, administrative report.
We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. The first one is January 24th.
There a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mike, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, Sandy. We lost Sandy. Okay, well, how about a motion to approve the minutes for February 14th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Mike, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Thank you. Grace, expense vouchers, financial update.
It looks like I am disabled from sharing my screen, Mary.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, because you logged out.
Yes, I am. So due to the last meeting getting cut short, Mike had signed off on the expenses. There were a few vouchers. This was the first one. Here's the second. And here's the third. And then Mike wanted to hold off on approving the Beaver Solutions invoice, as I think you had a couple of questions about that, correct, Mike?
I just want the commission to have a chance to discuss this. This is, we're paying in advance for these services. It's basically maintenance of the, I believe there's 4 existing beaver control structures that we have in place at the moment. So.
Is everything functioning okay?
Yeah, how's it?
5 sites.
Is this getting the job done?
This is Tom. Yeah, I've looked at them. They do clean them.
Yeah.
Unless we want to clean them, I think it's, fair enough.
Let the professionals do it.
Okay, well, any further discussion on this? If
No,
not, I'll make a motion to pay the pay the invoice from Beaver Solutions, $1,500 for 2024 maintenance of the beaver control structures that are currently in place,
second.
and using the beaver account, beaver fund. beaver funds. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mike, aye.
I.
Alan, I.
David, I.
Sandy, I.
Marcella, I.
Hey, Grace, anything else? I think there's,
Lastly, the balance sheet.
beaver salute.
Yeah, I
That's
had,
not right.
yeah, I edited this to say, the correct amount. I guess it just didn't get reflected in the packet.
Yeah, it should, well, it should be something. We start, I believe, with $4,000 a year that we have, and then 4,000 the Board of Health has. If I'm not mistaken, but yeah, that's last. And Grace, there, I had submitted a request for a voucher for recording the notice of intent at Robertson Family CR. Yes, that didn't make it. We can do that next time.
Okay, yes.
Okay, it didn't make it. That's no problem. Okay. So next up is Open Space Committee update from Bill. Bill's on.
Yep, I'm here. I'm visiting the Wildwood Land tomorrow with Chris Bowler of Landvest and Tony Schiavelli of SVT. We're doing that at 10:30, and we'll be accessing the site from Williams Street along the land that the town owns. So Marcella and I walked it over the weekend just to be sure that we would be able to get there, doing that from the Williams Street access point, and we were able to. That's where we stand with Lake Wildwood Land. And then I had a discussion today, brief discussion with a woman who is potentially interested in the Mechanic Street property as a site for a single family home. And she was interested in what the Conservation Commission was interested in doing. So I explained that to her. I think it's a long way. Well, it's not there's no impending offer at this point. She was just getting her facts together at this point. And that's it.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Bill, just if anyone else wants to attend that site walk at Wildwood, is that okay?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, so just you said it was 10:30 tomorrow.
Yeah, and we'll be parking on Dairy Drive at the end of Dairy Drive near the intersection with Williams.
Okay, great, thank you. Land Stewardship Committee update, Marcella.
Actually, I'm going to interrupt for just a second. If you do plan to join us, just drop me a note so that we can look out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's see. On Sunday, we had another cooperative project with Blackstone Valley NEMBA. We did a bit of a reroute at Warren Brook that is around a steep area. So we put some switchbacks in, which makes the cyclists happy, and it'll probably make horseback riders happy. And it's a very nice trail. So I think that should work out well. I've also walked other parts of Warren Brook with someone from NEMBA, and Scott Heim came along too, and we identified some other areas that might be well suited to new trails, and those will be flagged at some point. And we can check out, anyone's welcome to go check those out once they're flagged and have their opinion. I'm in communication with Dan Stimson from SVT, who is organizing a work party at, actually probably a couple of them at the Mechanic Street property. And that we're looking at sometime in April. So that's where we're at.
Okay, thanks, Marcella. We can go on to 9/11. We're not doing too bad on time. We can go through at least a couple of these discussion items. Eversource gas main replacement.
Yeah, it just came in the mail, and it's more of a, I think I forwarded it on, it's much just more of a notification.
You did, yeah. I remember seeing that. So
They're just doing work.
West Upton.
Yeah.
They're gonna be just doing some.
Let's see if we get down to the map. Yeah, so they're exempt, so they're just telling us what they're doing. So I will try. I've been asking. Mike Antonellis commutes in, every day this way for work. They were supposed to start around February 12th. I'm not sure they're actually digging yet though. So keep your eyes open. If you do, let me know. If you see them start, I'll go check it out. But
Yeah, this is Bill. Actually, one of the members, Eversource employees, stopped in to talk to us. They actually determined that they needed, because of the location of the water line, that they had to close lanes. And that wasn't part of their original permit from MassDOT. So I'm sure what they're trying to do is resolve whether or not they're gonna, and apparently the MassDOT solution for that would be to work at night, which is just bad. So in any case, they're probably still trying to resolve exactly how they're going to do the work.
okay, so we'll keep our eyes open to see when it actually starts. And that's that.
Okay, next we've actually maybe this could come off of it as a discussion item since Bill has already provided an update. Lake Wildwood open space opportunity. Bill's updated that. Sweetwood Farm, Five Forks Farm, CR monitoring. I think this is where the situation with the stone wall comes in. Marcella and Laura from SVT did a CR monitoring walk last fall. And Laura flagged placement of some stones and other debris on an existing stone wall adjacent to one of the fields. We sent a letter to Sweet William asking them to come and talk with us about it. And then Grace wrote us a letter back asking us to tell her, basically, I can paraphrase it, Mary. Grace said, basically, tell us what you want us to do. Tell us where the problem is, what you want us to do. I personally wish she would just come in and talk with us rather than going back and forth with letters and emails. I personally, one situation here or solution here might be to locate an area where they could create a new stone pile. And there's quite a few stone piles were actually mapped in the baseline report that we did. And I think, another stone pile or two somewhere would be kind of consistent with historical use rather than them dumping stuff on existing stone walls.
Do we have any place identified where that would be appropriate? Because they have stone piles all over the place.
Yeah, we'd have to do that. And I guess, if that's what people wanted them to do, I'd just say don't create a new one rather than altering a historic one. And we have the historic ones kind of mapped, at least the ones that we noticed. Yeah, thank you, Mary. This is from the baseline report. The the triangles are existing stone piles that we noticed when we were doing the baseline report. Some of them are basically at the intersection of two stone walls, like at the corners of two stone walls. Others are, all over the place. We did lose, after I saw this, we did lose the one that's within the Sweet William Farm field, that was just leveled or regraded. I bet we lost that one. And it was like a stone grouping rather than a pile. But I think we didn't really, no one thought of that. I'm sure it's no longer there. But anyway, so there's like a history of people creating, stone piles here from when they were clearing the fields, and just one thought might be to give Grace an option of maybe identifying a couple of areas where she could create new stone piles. Probably doesn't. The problem's probably only going to be now on the east side, since they've kind of taken care of the west side with their stone burial project that went on last summer.
Well, at some point, I wonder, once they start farming it, there's, I don't know how thick a layer of topsoil they've got there, but stones are going to start working their way up there too.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking for a place to put those. So, that may be a ways in the future, but it's certainly something we should make sure that they consider.
Well,
Marcella, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Tom.
Marcella, didn't you mention, this stuck in my head, something like sad little walls or something? So
Yeah.
couldn't they add to the sad little wall, like whatever they are, the sad little walls? Would it be a problem? They don't seem like they're that.
Yeah.
To me, what I don't think of something that's really a historic structure, that it just seems like it's just this low little thing and you can just throw more rocks on it, but I haven't seen them. I just remember you referring to it as that.
Well, I think it's up to us to decide how important those sad little, most of them are no more than maybe a, shin high, knee high, maybe. In some places they're not very high, not particularly holding up well. If we decide they're not that important for preservation, then that's our decision. That's as a committee.
And
We can,
SVTs.
yeah, exactly.
Because they co-hold the CR.
But
Right.
what do you think, Marcel? I mean, I haven't seen them. I just remember
Yeah.
the description. So, I mean, do you think that's reasonable, or do you think that is not reasonable?
Well, I'm kind of torn because I don't want to get in the way of their farming operation. But we mapped them, and we mapped them because we thought that there was something worth making note of. And I don't necessarily have a problem with them adding, this historically, that's what people did. They added stone to the surrounding walls. But if you look at what they have there now, it's more like rubble has been dumped on top of them. It's not like, they're building the stone walls up. They're just dumping the stone. And, that isn't consistent with the historic, look of that we were wanting to preserve. Again, that may not be important. We may decide with SVT that it's more important to make sure that their operation functions easily. And so this is there's like stone underneath there, but that's the brush and stuff that they've cleared away.
We do have some baseline report photos of this wall. I'm not sure if that's it.
No, this is another.
Existings, but it looked parts of it looked pretty good. Not there might, Marcella, there might be a need to refine the classification, like sad stone, very sad stone walls and very sad stone walls. I would call these as sad stone walls. We saw some that were barely walls that we match, but these were-
You know, when you compare it, there's some spectacularly beautifully built, lovely, you know, boundary walls, especially that are, you know, I wouldn't want those touched.
And to discriminate and call it a small sad wall.
Well, you know, we were getting a little punchy out there, measuring
Mhm.
every freaking wall and
Yeah.
every gap in the wall and getting points and yeah.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, that's a baseline report photo.
That's a pretty one. That's
So,
not sad.
so with all the brush on there, I mean, they could do a burn pile. I mean, they don't have to throw the brush and stuff on the walls. But my own opinion is you're right. They're going to have rocks year after year after year, and they're going to need to go someplace. And I'm with you. I don't want to ruin the nice walls, but if it's a low wall, not much distinction to it, I mean, throwing more rocks on it to me doesn't seem like a big issue, but that's just my opinion on that.
Well, you could probably walk along and, you know, it looks more like the stones have fallen off the rocks, off the walls, and could be placed back. So now you're talking rebuilding those sad little walls.
Well,
So,
I'd like to respond to Grace. You know, if she is willing to move what I would call rubble, you know, and maybe keep some of the larger stone to do some building up with, that would be okay with me. I just don't know if she feels like she's got a place to put it. It's, you know, there's piles all over the place.
maybe
And
she doesn't have a plan. Maybe we need to ask her what her plan is.
yeah, so
Could
there
ask
might
her
be,
to identify a couple relatively convenient locations to create stone piles, which aren't in wetlands, and see what she says. And I agree to Marcella, if, you know, we could allow placement of larger stones on the existing wall, but we don't want just a bunch of cobble stones thrown up against it, which changes the historic character of the wall.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think any additions to the walls, as long as they're consistent with historic structures, I wouldn't have a problem with that. They had been asked not to add stone to the walls at the south end of the property when they were clearing the field over there. That is a pretty substantial wall, and it is a boundary wall, so that, you know, you really don't want to mess with boundary walls. But at the other end, on the north side of the property, the walls aren't quite as substantial, and we'll have to see if she can find a place for them, but there might even be a market. I don't know. I'm not, you know, in that world, but it's possible that there's someone who needs fill who'd be happy to haul it away. So she should definitely explore some other options, but you know, it's hard. She works 24/7. She's on, you know, she's always on and always having to deal with some issue. And this is just another issue, and I don't, you know, she probably doesn't think it's critical. So, and it isn't, it's not, you know, it isn't going to threaten the business. But, you know, if she could work along with us, move the brush and move the stone, the brush I'm not as worried about because that'll decompose. You know, if she doesn't add to it, then it'll go away all by itself eventually. But you know, I did notice a couple of places where the stone could be stockpiled. Happy to, I think, in fact, we talked a little bit about it when Laura and I were there. And Grace just seemed very frustrated. And I think maybe she's in a better mindset now. The letter sounds like she's willing to work with what we propose. So let's propose. I would suggest that any stone that gets added to the existing walls be consistent with the historic look, and that anything that's small and, like cobble, I guess that's a good word to describe it, be stockpiled somewhere else on the property or removed from the property.
I would make a motion along those lines, and that we maybe write back Grace a short letter or an email with those recommendations as stated by Marcella.
So let me just speak that back, including, so identify areas where new stone piles can be made for the smaller stones. Large stones can be placed on existing walls as long as they're consistent with historic character. And then the debris, we had asked her in the letter to remove the debris. Do we want to let it stay, or just maybe suggest she make a pile of debris?
Well, I believe that there's stone wall under there. She seemed to think there wasn't, but we may have different definitions of what a stone wall looks like. But it could be made into a burn pile, and it could also be made into a compost heap somewhere else. It will decompose, but right now it's just kind of covering up an area that looks like there's a stone wall under there. And when you look around the property, there's other places where there's stuff piled up, stone and brush, and this is going to be an ongoing problem. So I think whatever she comes up with has got to be forward looking too, not just dealing with the immediate stuff. But but the brush, I would like to see it taken off the stone, but it will, wherever she puts it, it's going to decompose.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not like she has to take it off the property or
just move it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can draft an email and send it around for approval, and then send it off.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Great. 1 Dogwood Drive easement letter. Mary, I think, is that pretty much ready to be sent?
I think it's ready. Bill, was there any consensus from Dennis as to whether or not, were those plans helpful enough for you guys to look at it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I honestly have not had a chance to sit down and go over it with him. So I understand that, yes, the letter is ready to go. At this point, we just need to confirm that DPW doesn't need the easement.
Okay.
And as a layman, I can't see any reason why they would, but I'll need to talk that through with Dennis.
Yeah, okay, so I'd make a motion that pending any concerns raised by DPW, that Mary is authorized to transmit the letter as written to Dogwood Drive residents, 1 Dogwood Drive resident.
And do we want to CC to Dogwood, yes or no?
Yes, I would. I know that was a question, but I would CC to Dogwood.
Yeah.
And probably CC, what's the other number?
Number 3, yeah.
3 as well.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mike, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
And I.
Marcella, aye.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Robertson Family CR Trail Bridge. We've just about got 100% design ready to go. We've had 90% design for a while. They're making some minor changes. And then I guess I'm planning on submitting a request for amended order of conditions. And the commission will be reviewing, and the DP will be reviewing the.
Is that gonna have the alligator on it?
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
we're
Gotta
gonna
have the alligator.
yeah, we're gonna go with the alligator. And the we'll have to do basically treat it like an NOI. It'll have to be it'll have to be public noticed. We'll look forward to getting some DEP comments on it, that sort of thing. So then I don't know if there's any questions on that, but as soon as I get the plans, we can send them around for people to look at. One thing about that it's clear there's going to need to be concrete abutments. There's gonna we didn't initially anticipate it, but they're going to have drive in a very small tracked backhoe in there to help them excavate the abutment sites. And Catherine Robertson is going to allow them to access one side of the river from her property, which is very helpful. And they're going to have a dewatering system to dewater the abutment locations so they can pour the concrete. So there are some impacts that weren't anticipated initially when we issued the order conditions for this project. So I think it's good that we're actually going to have another filing basically for people to review and comment on. Mechanic Street parking area design and permitting. Mary, could you show the plan, please?
There's two. Hopefully, this one's the one you want to look at.
Yeah, that's great. So this is, just want to let people know and any comments about filing another notice of intent. This one's for the Mechanic Street property. It'll include all the wetland crossings. I think there's now five or six wetland crossings, stream crossings, excuse me. Most of which don't have any BVW impacts. One does. And then this plan shows the proposed Mechanic Street parking area. Scott has delineated the wetlands here, and then they were GPSed. The wetland line is that dotted, kind of pink dotted line. If you want to keep roughly 30-foot no disturb zone from the parking area, we end up with about a 50 by 60 foot parking area, which is hatched. That should be big enough for four to five cars, typical, maybe more if you kind of squeeze them in for an event. What I'd like to propose we do too is create a small wetland mitigation area, about 400 square feet. This would cover wetland impacts associated with this trail system, and then this is the kind of the unusual part, or maybe dicey part, is we would also claim that this mitigation area would impact, would compensate for impacts on the Robertson family trail system, CR trail system. There's about 200 or so square feet of impact. And if we do that, the thought would be we could get out of jail and not have to use helical piles or any extraordinary methods to avoid or to satisfy the DEP. Any comments on, I'm thinking, so both of these NOIs are going to, would be submitted soon. because I think SVT is going to want to get started this summer with the trail crossings and the stream crossings and the parking area.
And Mike, my only comment is for your amendment for Robertson is DEP actually does not review amendments. So,
Oh, they don't?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what, Mary, maybe we need to talk, what exactly maybe it's not an amendment, maybe I need to file an entirely new notice of intent there. We
I don't
need
think
to
so.
talk about that.
Yeah, I think because, well, it was a little unusual to approve it without the plans. But yeah, DEP didn't throw up any flags with that, so it's in it said in the order that you have to submit an amendment for the plans. And certainly submit the plans to the DEP. But they won't offer any comments on it.
Okay. Well, that's great. So all I have to do is write a letter to the commission, basically, with the plans. Do we need to schedule a hearing?
Yeah, we still need to schedule a hearing and notify abutters. That's required.
Okay.
So, but there is, and I think you send it to the DEP and they may look at it, I guess. I mean, I don't know. They never said anything about the Gasco, amendment. I've never received comments from them for an amendment. And I meant if they had a terrible trouble with it, they may, flag it, but.
Okay. And we'll have to also send it to Natural Heritage because I think their comment letter requested that too.
Right.
Okay. So basically write a letter, attach the plans, and submit it to the commission, the DEP, and Natural Heritage. Is that what
Yes,
you need to do?
that's right.
Okay, great. Okay, plus the public hearing notice to butters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, can do that. And then this one for Mechanic Street will be an entirely new notice of intent.
Yep.
Okay. So any concerns with this approach, including the mitigation area?
I think the one thing which I actually didn't realize about amendments is that if you feel like you need to change the conditions on an order, you can't do an amendment. So like if you feel like you need to add a condition, it should be a whole new order. But the funny thing is in Webster, I didn't actually know that. And so I would issue amended orders and I would add conditions. We were never challenged.
Okay.
I never knew that. So I'm not sure I don't think DEP is closely scrutinizing that, but if we felt like if there was a condition that we really had to place on it, then, but I don't know that there is. The only thing, the mitigation area, including the Robertson in the mitigation area.
Yeah, what I was thinking about doing is just being, in terms of the amendment at Robertson's, is being silent about that.
Okay.
Not even mention that. And then this notice of intent can mention that, in that in lieu of Hilco piles, basically, at Robertson, we will do a mitigation area here and see how that flies. DP may object to it, but I think it's definitely the sanest approach.
Mhm.
For
Can I ask a question about the location of the parking lot? Are there any setbacks from the side, if that's the property line? Are there any issues with that?
Don't believe so. Marcella, you talked to
Yeah,
the planning board about this. Could you?
No, that we don't need to have any setbacks from the neighboring property.
All right, thank you.
We're not building a structure.
And when we do the NOI, we will, notify the abutters, the knots, and they're aware that this is happening. You know, it's possible. I don't know, Marcel, we haven't really talked about this, but I don't know if there's need for any screening plantings. I guess that can be considered.
I don't think they'd object to are putting some plantings in, but, you know, the house is a little ways away, you can see it, but it's not like we're right on top of the house. I hadn't really thought about it, that you see that there's a fence there. And that's a bit of a visual barrier.
Is that a garden, Marcella? Like just north of?
I am not sure now. I know they've got horses, so I don't know if that.
Yes, that's a garden area.
Okay.
Maybe not always planted, but you know, it's on and off a garden area.
It looks like raised beds, but
Yeah, it is.
I've not
It's
looked
raised
at
beds.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sandy.
Yeah, and it's right across the street from the neighbor's driveway, so you know that kind of safer that way, I think, than I thought it was gonna be lower down the hill. But it's safer where it is.
And we will, I think, be able to, the thought is not to have to cut any trees down, or any large trees anyway. There's a couple large trees on Mechanic.
Is the access like right here? Or am I confused? Or is it like?
Actually, yeah, it's right.
Yeah.
It's actually right across from the
Parking
driveway.
area,
Across
yeah.
Driveway, okay.
Yeah.
It's between the two biggish trees.
Okay,
The-
perfect.
The one, the planning board, did request that we not cut that big tree to the north down, which isn't on our property anyway. So that we couldn't do that without permission of the owners, but, I don't think we're gonna have to do much tree removal.
We should probably, try to stay as far away from it as possible and kind of document the condition. And the condition is poor, just so if the thing dies, you know, we're not on the hook for it. Because it's rough shape, I think, that tree.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the healthiest tree, but it's still a nice tree, and it's,
Mhm.
you know, it's got some history there, so.
Yep. Okay, well, anything else on this? All right, and then Marcella, do you want to talk about conservation land regs, or are we? You want to?
Let's
It's
put that off.
9:44. It's 9:44.
Let's skip it till next meeting. I'll get the revised copies for people to look at before the meeting, and people can mark them up and we can discuss it the next meeting.
That sounds good. Maybe put it at the top of the discussion items so it doesn't get stuck near the bottom again. And then it's naming conservation areas. Nothing new there. I have reached out a little bit to the Grafton Historical Society about George Hill and George Misko, who the hill is named after, but they're looking into it. They think they have some information about George Misko. So. And the last thing is Mosquito and Tick Committee event proposal, Marcella.
What proposal? I forgot.
I wonder if this was from Chris. I think maybe Chris asked this to go on the agenda.
Oh, do you know what it was in reference to?
No.
Okay.
Let's leave it on.
Yeah.
But and then anything else anyone wants to discuss tonight? Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? I doubt there'd be discussion, so all in favor. Mike?
Aye.
I. Good night. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
Good night.
take care, folks. Mary, thank